All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Royal Bed, 1931. Giving this 1 out of 5 stars. I hated this flick. I guess it was on my list because it was free public domain. Mary Astor is very attractive, but I don't know. It's just a black and white film that I tortured myself by watching today. The Royal Bed is a 1931 U.S. pre-code satirical comedy film produced by William LeBaron and distributed through RKO. The film was directed by and starred Lowell Sherman, along with Mary Astor, who was in The Maltese Falcon. I should put her name in there. And Anthony Bushell. The screenplay was adopted by J. Walter Rubin, based on the 1928 play by Robert E. Sherwood titled The Queen's Husband. It would be one of a handful of RKO pictures which was produced in both English and French language versions. Princess Anne plans to run away with Freddie Granton, the commoner secretary of her father, King Eric VIII. Once her domineering mother, Queen Martha, has left for a vacation in the United States. Anne is therefore aghast when the Marquis of Burton brings news that he has negotiated her political marriage to Prince William of Grec, a man she has never met. Dismissing Anne's vehement protests, the Queen is delighted, a feeling not shared by Anne's loving but ineffectual father. Meanwhile, the Premier and General Northrop warned that a revolution is brewing. He wishes to execute large numbers of political prisoners, but cannot without the king's signature. The Queen wholeheartedly approves of these STEM measures. The king promises to attend to it, but after Northrop and the Queen leave, he orders his secretary to misplace the death warrants. Led by Laker, the rebels rise up after Northrop gets Parliament to grant him dictatorial powers. Anne seizes the opportunity to try to flee with Granton with her father's approval. However, when she believes that the king is in real danger, she refuses to leave him. Dr. Fellman, a moderate rebel leader, comes to see the king to demand his abdication, but agrees to stop the fighting in favor of negotiation. Then Northrop insists he is in charge now and laughs in derision when the king claims the people are stronger than Northrop's army and navy. Next to arrive is Prince William. Despite his admission that he dislikes Anne, he is prepared to do his duty and go through with the wedding. Then Fellman and Laker show up. The king surprises Northrop by dismissing him from service and putting Fellman in charge, ordering him to set up general elections as soon as possible. The queen, newly returned from U.S. with a much-needed loan, tells her husband in private that she knew the whole revolution was a bluff to force Northrop from power. The king has one last deception planned, of which she is unaware. After she leaves for the wedding, he and Granton brought to him. He has Granton brought to him. All right. In September 1930, it was announced that RKO would be producing The Queen's Husband, a successful Broadway play by Robert E. Sherwood, although the Film Daily incorrectly attributed the play to Noel Coward and disclosed that Sherman would direct and star in the project. William LeBaron, head of production for RKO Radio Pictures, had purchased the rights to Sherwin's play during his trip to New York in early September. Later in the month, Emery's involvement in the film was announced as an important role. In early October, Nance O'Neill's attachment in the role of Queen was reported, with Mary Astor's involvement as the princess announced a week later. Robert Warwick was loaned from Fox, who pulled him out of the cast of Once a Sinner prior to production to play the role of Northrop on October 15th. In mid-October, it was reported that United Artists would handle the distribution of the French version of the film in French-speaking countries. Using an all-French cast, that version was scheduled for release on November 30th. The complete cast for the French version, being shot at the RKO lot in Hollywood, was announced at the beginning of November. On October 21st, the final cast was announced, as well as J. Walter Rubin as the writer in charge of the screenplay adaptation, and Arthur Roberts signed on as the editor. The film was already in production by the time at RKO's studio in Hollywood. In November 1930, trade paper accounts announced that the name of the film was being changed from The Queen's Husband to The Royal Bed. Photoplay complimented the plot, dialogue, and acting, calling it a fine talkie, while the Modern Screen magazine said it was an amusing story. The Film Daily lauded the directing and acting, stating that the film was an excellent satirical comedy. I only laughed a few times, okay? There are way better movies than this. King of Hearts? King of Hearts, 1966. I recommend that film over this one. King of Hearts is way better. Okay. The Royal Bed stinks to high heaven. It's a real stinker. The subtle but surefire humor of Lowell Sherman and the superb acting of Nance O'Neill are the outstanding features of this fine production. The magazine also complimented the French version of the play. Motion Picture Magazine liked the picture, calling it a clever satire, cleverly done, and they especially enjoyed Sherman's acting. I like Mary Astor, but she doesn't have an English accent. Jack Grant of Motion Picture News gave the film high praise, titling it Delightful Sophistry. He complimented the entire cast, saying it could hardly be improved upon, singling out the performances of Astor, Sherman, O'Neill, Warwick, and Emery. Grant also enjoyed Sherman's direction. Overall, he described the picture as a Simon Pure entertainment for intelligent audiences. This talker has few equals in this class. Well, I just gave you one better film. You're right. It isn't equal. It's much better. King of Hearts, 1966. The Royal Bed was also produced by Le Baron in French language version, entitled Ekek Aroy, directed by Leon D. Assu and Henry de la Fallories, with translation of Rubin's screenplay in the French language by Robert Harari. Leo Tover was a cinematographer on this film, which starred Francois Rosé, Pauline Guerin, and Emile Chautard. At both the Los Angeles and Chicago screenings, the film was titled Leroy's Ennui. The play on which the film is based, The Queen's Husband by Robert E. Sherwood, was performed at the Playhouse Theater in New York City from January through May 1928. It was produced by William A. Brody and Dwight Dear Women and directed by John Cromwell. It starred Roland Young as King Eric, Gladys Hanson as the Queen, Catherine Alexander as Princess Anne, and Gillis Isham as Freddie Granton. A 1-hour radio adaptation of the play was presented on Lux Radio Theater on December 30th, 1935, featuring Frank Morgan, The Wizard of Oz. Gladys Hanson reprised her role as Queen Martha. In 1958, the film entered the public domain in the United States because the claimants did not renew its copyright registration in the 28th year of publication. That's why it's free all over YouTube. I found at least 6 uploads of it with different times. So I picked the longest time and the one without the annoying little channel logos on the bottom right of the screen. So The Royal Bed, 1931, 1 hour, 15 minutes. It gets a somewhat mediocre 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb. 269 ratings, which is pretty low. Even though it's public domain, not too many people know about this movie. More interested in playing checkers with the servants than in governing his people. Oh, kind of like Warren G. Harding. He used to play cards in the White House. King Eric VIII is dominated by Martha, his queen, a humorless woman who believes in doing her royal duty above all else. Her daughter, Princess Anne, however, loves commoner Freddie Granton, the king's secretary, and refuses to marry her mother's political choice, the foppish Prince William. All right. And then it chops off the storyline here. So let me click on it and attempt to give you the full storyline. Is it going to do anything? It's just spinning around. What is wrong with my internet here? Oh, here it goes. Finally. After the Queen leaves for a promotional tour of the United States, a long fermenting revolution erupts on the night of Anne's birthday ball, and the palace is bombed. The king agrees to meet with the revolution's leader, and after hearing his cause, promises him that if the revolutionaries lay down their arms, he will oust General Northrop, the powerful dictatorial premier. After some manipulation and collaboration, the king rids the country of Northrop while ensuring better living conditions for his subjects. With the uprising squelched and the queen back from the United States, Anne's wedding to William proceeds as planned, though under protest from the princess. Minutes before the ceremony, however, the rejuvenated king, in final defiance of his wife, secretly marries Anne and Freddie himself and arranges for their passage to common freedom. Wow, I ruined the ending with this summary here. That's quite a long summary on IMDb. All right. So we got Mary Astor. I'll put her name in the description. I forgot to put Robert Warwick in the description. I'll put his name. More like this. We've got False Faces, Upper World, Ladies Love Brutes, and Heroes for Sale. Nancy Lee Blaine's only film. Quotes Princess Anne. She's furious now because father is going out. Mother tries to boss everything. Well, she's not going to boss me. I'm not her husband. I'm going to lead my own life. Granton, and may I ask, when do you intend to start? Princess Anne, as soon as she's safely on her trip to the United States. One of these days, mother will pick up a New York paper and discover her daughter has eloped. You are going to elope with me, aren't you, Freddie? Granton, oh yes, Anne. I wouldn't let you elope alone. The opening card says, truly, there is no reason why all kings and queens should not be human beings, even though there is every reason why all human beings should not be kings and queens. That's from King Louis the 11th. Connections. This is a version of The Queen's Husband from 1946. So there was a remake, and it wasn't King of Hearts from 1966. All right, Bob Lipton posted a review on IMDb dated December 28th, 2002, giving it a 5 out of 10, which is very close to the 5.8 average rating. I'm rating it much lower. I'm giving it 2 out of 10. Here's the title of the review. It's just a few short sentences. It says, the hero gets to underact. Stagey version of Robert Sherwood comedy about the waning days of a constitutional monarchy. Everyone overacts except for director star Laurel Sherman, who acts urbanely tipsy most of the time. The story doesn't hold up well. Watch for Mary Astor in a leading role before she learned how to steal a scene. All right. Karate Man's back. He's in the chat room. Must be wake up time in Australia. Let's see what we got coming down the pike. By the way, I accepted the greedy redevelopers buyout offer of $300,000 to move out of here. I think he was here talking in Chinese to one of his contractor dudes. I asked him for 6 months to move out of here, and he only gave me 2 months. So I might move into the old convent across the street from my church. I got to talk to the manager over there. Might be a temporary situation though, because I've got to find another dilapidated illegal in-law unit so I can get a similar buyout from this greedy redeveloper, Terry Chu, in about 5 years when Social Security and Medicare go bankrupt. So basically, I'm making more money than the executives at my company. And it's all because I chose this dilapidated in-law unit here. So that's pretty good. I'm supposed to get $40,000 in a couple weeks, and then if I move out earlier, I'll get the bulk of the settlement, about $200,000, and then my attorney's going to take the rest of it. Unfortunately, even though he didn't do much work, he's going to take a big chunk. Ay. All right. So going down the list, we've got The Uh-Oh Show, 2011, Jaws 2, 1978, Judge Priest, 1934. And that's what's coming down the pike. I'm going to try to get The Uh-Oh Show watched and reviewed tonight before I take my short nappy poo and update my list with George Kennedy films. Laters.